What is up? We've got some surprise stories in Spain, big-time matchups in Italy.
My boys Liverpool are looking to reestablish their dominance in England, and there's a blue blood struggling for form in Germany. Plus, much more on this episode 37 of the No Business Soccer Podcast.
Let's dig in. You thought I was doing it the whole time. I have to do that or else I'm going to mess up.
I always think of like a jogging sound or jogging.
Yes, getting your workout in.
Yeah,
it is the beginning of the year. It's been beginning of the year. And welcome back, everybody, to the No Business Soccer Podcast. I'm your host, Snooze, and we're here with the full fam. The No Business boys are back. We have J-Fam, the Brainiac in the back. And then, of course, we got our boy, Danny P on the ones and twos, and everybody's favorite homie, my boy, High Man Vic. What you sipping on, dog?
Well, what I got? Well, first off, I'm glad to be here against all odds. My computer was not letting me join.
It was fighting him.
But what I have is what I just started drinking is coffee old fashioned. It's basically your Mr. Black coffee liqueur and a rye whiskey. And it's been so good, smooth. It is thick though. It's like almost syrup. So this might be a long night here.
That's what I like to hear. I like them thick. So we had to try that one because I'm a big coffee fan.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Oh, I also put a little bit of walnut liqueur in there too, so you get a little bit of nuts. And I know you like nuts.
I'm gonna leave that one be. All right. Well, today we have a lot, and actually, it's a very exciting episode because all the leagues are back. Finally, we have a weekend. Regularly scheduled programming, I guess you can call it. We're going to Spain, Italy, Germany, England, and it's going to be a lot of fun. But before we jump into all of this, we have some midweek madness to cover, and I think we'll do that before we get to those leagues. Vic, let's just jump right into it, man. Which way are we starting with? I'm gonna let you choose so that you can be the producer's nightmare.
Oh, okay. Well, since this is the only one I have up in front of me right now, to the Prim midday matchup, midweek match.
Yes, show notes be damned. We got him.
My bad.
So before we jump into what's happening in the Prem this weekend, like Vic said, we have a midweek madness to cover, and I'm not going to do the voice anymore. I don't think anybody likes that. So on Tuesday, January 14th, Reece James saves a point for Chelsea with his stoppage time free kick goal in the 95th minute. Bournemouth were so close to leaving Stamford Bridge with all 3 points, but it's definitely drop points for Chelsea. Graham Potter's West Ham takes all 3 points from Fulham, thanks to Fulham keeper Leno being a pendejo and holding on to the ball too long in his box with a start. What a start for Potter and West Ham. It's going to be awesome to see how they continue this. City and Brentford split the points in an unbelievable 2-2 draw. City were up 2-0 in the 78th freaking minute and let 2 late goals in, and they just can't seem to get any momentum against teams that they really should be beating. Liverpool and Forest draw 1-1 at City Ground, and honestly, I have no idea how Liverpool didn't score in the last 15 minutes. It felt like they had the ball the entire time, and it felt like they were just taking shot after shot, but somehow, some way, they leave with just 1 point. Moving on to Wednesday, Vic, do you want to jump in and say anything about that one? Because I don't know if we'll have any more time to talk about it.
Nothing. I'll call out. I'm going to call it out again here in a little bit. That zero wins since you've given Liverpool their flowers in all competitions. So
that's not me, man. That's not me. You can't.
And it's a real curse because we lost to Tottenham. That's obviously a curse. So.
Okay. All right.
That's all I'm going to say. We're good.
Wednesday, January 15th, Newcastle and Wolves ends 3-0 to Newcastle. And if you want a summary of how this match looked, just watch the first Isak goal. I think it's his name, Alexander Isak. Anyway, watch the first goal that he scored. It just ridiculous. And he continues his ridiculous run of form. I think we're going to talk about him a little bit later, but he gets a brace and an assist in this match. Aston Villa keep the good vibes rolling as they get a 1-0 win over Everton. And DCL, as Danny P likes to call him, I don't know if anybody else actually calls the dude DCL. Every time we talk about him, he says DCL, so I don't know. Anyway, he came so close so many times, but he's just not himself right now. They didn't get a point. Crystal Palace get a 2-0 win over Leicester, and now that's only one loss in their last 5 matches for Palace, who are climbing out of that relegation scrap. It might be looking towards that mid-table scrap from now on. The North London derby ends 2-1 to Arsenal. Both teams came into this one with sketchy form, and Arsenal did just enough to take all 3 points. Son gets an early goal. Second half was pretty quiet. It was actually a pretty tame North London derby for as far as they go. Pedro Porro gets posterized, as they call it here. Just not a good time, but, it was pretty tame. We lost 2-0. Who cares? Thursday, January 16th, Brighton get a 2-0 win over Ipswich Town and didn't really waste too much energy doing it. Wasn't a lot to talk about. They just won 2-0 against a bad team. Manchester United looked dreadful for 81 minutes until Amad Diallo came alive and got a hat trick, with the first goal coming in the 82nd minute. This is a massive collapse for Southampton, who really needed points, and it's really a microcosm of their entire season. And while 3 points will be there regardless for Manchester United, that's a flattering score to end 3-1 because they really were horrible in this one. Okay, that is it for the midweek madness in the Prem. And before we jump into what's coming this weekend, Vic, why don't you give us a little reminder what that table be looking like?
Yeah, well, after this midweek matchup, like you say, Liverpool still did keep the top spot despite your flowers that they're given to them. 2 straight draws have them 47 points, with 47 points, and right behind them is Arsenal with 43 points, who did get a win, unfortunately. But we really guys.
You're telling me.
I was really pulling for you guys. And in the second spot, they have 43 points. Nottingham Forest have 41 points. They drew with us, of course, or Liverpool, of course. They're looking really good. And I don't know how we didn't score in those last 15 minutes. That was a good call out.
Insane.
Rounding out the top 4 is Newcastle United, pretty quietly, at least on a 6-game winning streak. That's what it shows on the table. They're looking really good. And tickling the top 4 is Chelsea in the 5th spot, trying to gain some ground again. If we look at the bottom of the table, Ipswich Town, if the season ended today, would be out of the league and going on to the championship. Sounds a lot better than it is. Leicester City, trying to keep form with them, also getting a loss in the 19th spot with 14 points. And Southampton have been there since the beginning. They have 6 measly points on a 4-game losing streak again. Not looking great for them, unfortunately, but it's been that way all season, I think. So
pretty much. Yeah, you can pretty much write them off at this point. That's bad, but it's true. It's true. Okay. Well, if you haven't been with us for a weekend preview or weekend look ahead, as we call it, what we're going to do is obviously go through the table. I'm going to talk about all the matches that are happening in the leagues, and then we're going to talk about a few of the matches that we're going to be watching and paying specific attention to, kind of like the ones that, if you're going to boil it down, these probably are going to be the best matches to watch. And so, with that said, on Saturday, we start off with high-flying Newcastle welcoming Bournemouth to St. James's Park. And Bournemouth will be looking for 3 points as they got nicked for an equalizer against Chelsea earlier this week. We just talked about it. But can anyone keep Alexander Isak in check? I think not, and we'll find out. Graham Potter has 1 match and 1 win as the West Ham manager. And next up is the relatively informed Crystal Palace. They've been pretty good lately, and I'm curious to see how things go for West Ham in this one. Still too early to write them off for any of those European places or anything like that, but 3 points here would be pretty nice for them as they start to climb back into form. Liverpool traveled to London to take on Brentford, who just came back from a 2-0 down against City to get a draw, and that might not be saying much based on City's form, which sounds crazy. But it's a hell of a confidence boost, I'll tell you that much. And while Liverpool have dropped points in back-to-back games in the Prem, they're holding on to a 4-point lead, and they still have a game in hand. So, of course, they're going to be trying to get this one over the line. Leicester have lost 6 straight Premier League matches, and they get Fulham, who have won only once in their last 5. Should be a good time to get back on track for Fulham, but you never know. And Arsenal, coming fresh off a North London derby win, get Aston Villa, who've won 2 straight, and will have Johan Duran back and starting possibly. We'll see after suspension. It's 2nd versus 7th in that match and should be very entertaining, and we'll talk more about that in a moment. On Sunday, third place, Forest get a bottom of the table with Southampton, and it's pretty straightforward for the Trees. They should be getting 3 points there. Everton have lost 3 straight in the Prem, but they get a home matchup against Spurs, who have lost 4 of their last 5. That is painful to see. Danny P and my team, we both really need these points, so we have no idea what's going to happen in this one. I have no expectations anymore. We get another juicy matchup, though, when Brighton go on the road to Old Trafford to take on Manchester United. And remember, Brighton won the reverse fixture of this. Is that what you call it? Like they played – whoa, hey, my mic. They played already in the season. They're like playing again. Is it the reverse fixture or the – I don't know what you want to call it. I think the reverse.
Yeah. Sounds good to me.
Because it's like –
I was about to call it leg, but it's not leg.
I see. That's what I was thinking too. But it's not, because it's not like a playoff, right? So anyway, reverse fixture. But anyway, so Brighton won the reverse fixture. Don't forget that. And it was all the way back on match day 2, and a lot has changed since then, especially like a coach change for United. And Amorim has some momentum with the boys, and I really don't know which way to lean here. After watching them almost just freaking bottle it against Southampton today, I don't know, man. Do you get momentum from a 82nd minute hat trick? I assume you would, but we'll have to see. So another matchup in a team in Manchester. Manchester City get Ipswich Town, and you would hope and expect that they get all 3 points, but who knows with City right now? No telling how they're going to end up. And on Monday, 5th in the table, Chelsea get 18th Wolves. It appears that the new manager bump for Wolves has completely come to an end. They are now poised to get out of the relegation places, even after losing 2 straight. But Chelsea will look to get a win after going without a win in their last 5 matches in the Prem. Seems like Chelsea will probably get this one over the line, but Wolves have been pretty scrappy lately. Okay, Vic, that's what we have in the Prem. And now let's talk about some of the matches that we're going to be looking at. First off, let's dive into Newcastle and Bournemouth. We took a deep dive into how Newcastle jump-started their season recently, and to recap, it's because of the form that Isak and Gordon are in. And since we had that discussion, nothing's changed except that they've gotten better. The only thing I think that I can really talk about is that Isak, he's now up to 11 goals and 3 assists in his last 8 Premier League matches, scoring in each one of those, and it's just ridiculous. And Gordon is now at 3 goals and 3 assists in his last 6 matches, scoring in 2 straight going into this one. It's all clicking for them now, and they take on the Cherries, who are unbeaten in the last 9 Premier League matches. So there's something to be said about that. But that run hasn't been filled with a lot of wins. There is something to be said for a team that just can't be beaten. But Newcastle seem like a team that are ready to drop that and give them their first loss in a while. Vic, I don't think that any of these teams are going to be coming for Liverpool's heads in that title race. But do you have any preference here? Do you lean a certain way in this matchup?
Yeah, I do lean Newcastle just because I think I've said this a few times, but my first FIFA team that drafted me was Newcastle.
Yes.
And, I think so. They were awesome. So, plus Isak is amazing. He's great to watch.
Okay.
Isak.
I think we're, that's what I'm saying. It's like Isak. Yeah. It's our stupid American accents. That's the problem. I lean Newcastle as well. Bournemouth to be pretty cool, but I thought that they would be a little bit better. And they haven't been beaten in a while, but they also haven't really won that many matches. So I don't think that's enough to survive against Newcastle. Okay, let's move on to the next match that Vic definitely has a stake in. Aston Villa versus Arsenal. And the reverse fixture of this one happened way back on match day 2, where we had a ton of hype for this Villa squad, and they no-showed at home in a 2-0 loss to Arsenal. This time around, though, we know about both teams. We know more about both teams, I guess we should say. And Villa should be back to full strength, as I was saying earlier, but it might not matter for Johan Duran because Ollie Watkins scored, and I think that was the reason why he was on the bench in the first place, because he wasn't scoring. Now he is, or he at least got a goal in their last match. So we'll see if Duran gets back in that starting lineup or what happens with that. But Ollie Watkins, he's probably, big ticket guy. He's on the England national team. They probably want to see him up there. We'll see. But I do fully expect Arsenal to have their swagger back after they had dropped points in a few matches in a row. But that win against Spurs and the way it kind of happened, you just expect that they're probably going to be out there and it just makes this one more fun. I'll tell you that much. I do lean towards Arsenal, unfortunately, because I just don't think that they're going to be dropping too many points. Once they catch that lightning in a bottle, is that what you say? Lightning in a bottle?
That is a saying. I don't know if you say that in this right now, but it is a saying.
It is a saying. But the way that they were in form and ridiculous at the tail end of last season, I feel like if they can do that again this season, maybe this was a spark. We'll have to see. And they're trying to catch Liverpool, so we shall see. I know, Vic, you're probably going for Villa in this one. I don't even know if I have to ask.
I'm definitely going for Villa, but also Villa kind of needs this just to try to get in the top four. If they win and they get, I think Chelsea, Manchester City lose as well, they'll be at least in the 5th spot. So I know they want to try to get into these championship spots, and I think this will take them a long way to do so.
Yeah, they've kind of been hit or miss recently. Recently, that was embarrassing. But they've been a pretty decent team. I think all the expectations they had coming into the season kind of fell flat, but they're back up to where they need to be. And Johan Duran is fun to watch. I know I keep talking about him, but he's just really fun to watch. Okay, that is it for the Prem. Vic, where are we going next, sir?
I know this one. To Bundesliga.
Put it in. All righty. Let's jump right into this. In the Bundesliga in Germany, they did have a midday madness or midweek madness, as I call it. But what I found out, I was listening to a podcast, the Gegenpress podcast, shout out to them. They call this the English week in their, I guess, in German, they call it the English week. I wish I could speak more German so I could tell you. But essentially, really quick, it was because the English created the floodlights so they could have night matches. And that wasn't a thing in Germany before that. And so once the English brought those over, they were like, hey, we can do middle of the week matches now. And they call it the English week. Pretty funny. Okay. Well, let's jump into that.
The more you know. That's great.
Yeah, right? I know, right? Cool. Full of random useless facts.
You're doing great. You're doing great.
Well, let's go into Bundesliga match day 17 real quick. Tuesday, January 14th, Holstein Kiel only had 2 wins all season before Dortmund came to town, and now they have 3 wins as they whooped up on Dortmund 4-2. It was 3-0 before Gio Reyna got the scoring started for Dortmund. And I'm not a tactical guy at all, but what I was seeing, it looked like the Kiel offense, which hasn't really been tremendous, made Dortmund's defense look terrible. They just looked unorganized. They looked just everywhere. I mean, out of form, lazy. I don't even know the words to use. It was really disappointing for Dortmund. Wolfsburg put on a second half show as they put 5 past Gladbach in a 5-1 win where they were just toying with them before the end of the match. It was super easy for them. Kind of like how when we played soccer, Vic, all those teams would just do to you, at the end of games we were playing around.
Yeah, I remember you left me all the time. Left me.
Yeah, I know.
6 every single time.
It's funny because I can make fun of you because you were the goalie, but like you were in that position because of me.
All of you. Yes, all of you.
It's hilarious. All right. Mainz and Leverkusen ends 1-0 to Leverkusen thanks to a perfectly placed free kick from Alex Grimaldo. This was a close match. And look, I've seen some matches between Leverkusen and other would-be top-of-the-table teams in the Bundesliga, but it just doesn't look like this. What I'm trying to say is that Mainz, even in a loss, I feel like they showed the world that they are real, that they're here. And this one went, I don't know, this one didn't go their way, but I feel like it goes a long way towards that confidence for the rest of the season for Mainz. Frankfurt dominate Freiburg 4-1 in the Battle of the Birds. Omar Marmoush continues to drive up that price tag as he gets 2 assists and a goal of his own in this one. He is so fun to watch. Wednesday, January 15th in St. Pauli had to win this match. In a match that they had to win, they went on the road and they lost to Bochum 1-0. This was a 6-pointer, and St. Pauli didn't show up. It was very sad to see. Bremen and Heidenheim put on a show for us on Wednesday as they draw 3-3. The entire match was Bremen scoring first and then Heidenheim equalizing. But you thought it was over when it was 3-2, but with a free kick in the 95th minute, literally the last kick of the match, Heidenheim get the equalizer. again, and it was a hell of a match to watch. Augsburg get a 2-0 win over Union Berlin. Both teams really, really needed all 3 points in this one, and Augsburg proved that they were up to the task. Union have completely fallen off a cliff, lost control at this point. Whatever you want to use, it's real bad. Stuttgart battle back from letting in an early Benjamin Sesko goal to get a 2-1 win over Leipzig. This is a team that we saw last year from Stuttgart, and I'm really excited to see them. It's starting to click. But Leipzig had Opinda and Sesko sent off by the end of this match. Just not a good look for them. Bayern are doing Bayern things again as they get a 5-0 win over Hoffenheim. Sané gets a brace. Kane with another pin. Gnabry's back in scoring. It's all good times and good vibes in Munich. Okay, Vic, where does that leave us with the table heading into this weekend?
Well, the 5-0 wins still keep Bayern Munich on top. They have 42 points. Behind them is Bayern Leverkusen, never losing Leverkusen on at least a 6-game win streak with 38 points. Incredible. Eintracht Frankfurt has 33 points in the third spot. Bunch of threes for them. And RB Leipzig, 30 points, fourth spot. They did just get a loss, but, it's a nice little top four that is starting to stick a lot more. Who's outside of the top four is Stuttgart. So they're tickling the top four there. I think I put a little Mexican accent on Stuttgart there for a little bit. My bad. Old habits, but Stuttgart got 29 points in the fifth spot, tickling those top four spots. And at the bottom, Holstein Kiel hang on and win. They have 11 points above Bochum. And man, how hard it is to beat Bochum. They get a win the same week that Holstein Kiel gets a win that keeps them in last place week after week. It sucks. It sucks for them. But I will say, how good is Bundesliga? The last 2 weeks, there's been one draw, and it was 3-3, the one that just happened. It's so much fun, and they have actual winners and stuff. And whenever they do draw, they're putting on a show. 6 goals total. That's crazy. Can't wait to see next week too.
Yeah, man, it's been a crazy year, especially when you look at the table. I mean, yes, Bayern are up top, but they didn't win it last year, and it's a new coach. A lot of questions. Seeing Dortmund slip the way they have, Frankfurt kind of coming out of nowhere, Mainz coming out of nowhere. Yeah, it's a great time, and even the bottom of the table teams are looking good right now. I mean, come on. They're getting points off of these big boys. That's crazy. So
they're starting to.
Well, with that said, let's look into what's happening this weekend in the Bundesliga. And on Friday, we have Frankfurt get an inconsistent mid-table Dortmund side who are desperate for a win. Shaheen's job might be on the line with this one. You would think it would have to at this point. And if you saw, like I just was talking about, the defending against Kiel, there's no way that they stand a chance against Marmoush and co. And I put this down as we were making all these notes. I also heard that City had reached a deal for Marmoush for 80 mil, and he might not be there. So we'll see. But either way, if he's not there, I still wouldn't give Dortmund the edge here. Dortmund are a wild card, though, right now. We'll see. They could be good, could be bad. We never know with them. Saturday, Heidenheim have dusted themselves off and got 4 points from the last 2 matches, just in time for a 6-pointer matchup against St. Pauli, who lost to Bochum earlier this week. Both teams got to have all 3 points here. I think they'll be going after it. Bayern have got back to winning ways, and they welcome Wolfsburg to Munich. Wolfsburg have won 2 straight and have some momentum coming into this one. But is that enough to stop and slow down Bayern? We shall see. I think that Wolfsburg are going to be a tougher task than most of the teams that come up against Bayern are. I mean, usually we see Bayern have a decent matchup and then they end up destroying them. You know, it's not 10-1. It's like, it's 3-1 or, 4-0. I don't think Wolfsburg is going to be that way. I think it's going to be a good matchup.
Yeah, and they have 27 points. So they're just three points out of the top 4. They're trying to get in the top 4. So they're awesome. Fighting for it too. They're fighting for it too.
Back in the day when Kevin De Bruyne was still there, that were in the Champions League, it was fun to watch them. But maybe they're getting back to that point, because I remember after he left and a few others, there wasn't much to talk about anymore for Wolfsburg. Holstein Kiel and Hoffenheim have a 6-pointer in the relegation battle as well. And Kiel have all the momentum after beating Dortmund last time out, while Hoffenheim have lost 3 straight. And a win here for Kiel, and they start dreaming about staying up, and it's a real dream. Didn't really seem like that before. That'd be crazy to see them, because I feel like since the season started, they've been at the bottom, or one of the bottom teams. Okay, moving on. Let me move my notes up here. Stuttgart have clawed their way back up into the 5th spot, and they get Freiburg in 8th. Stuttgart should feel some kind of swag coursing through their veins after they beat Leipzig, but you can't sleep on this Freiburg side, who have been tough all season for some of the bigger teams in the Bundesliga. Excuse me. Bochum coming off a win against Leipzig. Bochum coming off a win, get Leipzig coming off a loss. That's about it for this one. There's not really too much more to say because Leipzig should be able to win this, even without Sesko and Opinda, who should be suspended for this one. But it's a road match against Bochum, and that's always tough. And they're at full strength, so there's no way that Bochum can get points here, right? Like, no way. Anytime we say that, it never happens.
Yeah, don't know.
Leverkusen are on fire right now as winners of 7 straight in the Bundesliga. They get Gladbach at home, who have lost 2 straight matches in the Bundesliga. Seems like a clear-cut Leverkusen win, but this sport's weird. We'll find out. Mainz look to get back on track on Sunday after narrowly missing out on points against Leverkusen. They showed their heart and their toughness, and now they get Union Berlin as the prize, who've lost 3 straight and are free-falling towards the relegation battle. It's also a mid-table clash between Augsburg and Werder Bremen. That's all I put in my notes. Wow, that's rude. That one should be fun. Sorry about that.
It is one of the matches for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Damn, I did them dirty. Okay. Well, let's talk about some other matches for a bit. Dortmund versus Frankfurt. What is left to say about Dortmund? We've said it all. They're closer to being a mid-table squad than firing their coach than the Champions League finalists that we saw last season. The only consistent thing about them is their inconsistency, which is cliche to say, I know, but it's true. And same thing. What is left to say about Frankfurt? They're awesome. They've been really good this year. And Marmouche is on fire. I guess if he's staying, they should have a way easier time in this match. If he's gone, which there are some rumors right now. I mean, by the time y'all see this, he might be signed for or signed and on his way out. We'll see. I don't know. But I remember listening to a podcast about this. And they were saying that the Frankfurt ownership and execs were basically like, until he's not our player, he's playing for us. Like, if you want him, sign him. We're not keeping him out because you might get him, which is cool. So I don't know. We might see him, might not. But I don't think it's going to matter. It's weird to say this, but I think it could get really ugly for Dortmund in this one, who are perennial German powerhouse. But they don't have it together right now. Nothing's working. And we'll see. We will see what happens in this one, with or without Marmouche. I think Frankfurt get it. Vic, how nervous are you that Marmouche is going to City and they're going to catch Liverpool in the
he can stay in Frankfurt. It's all right. That's completely fine with me. He's doing great. He doesn't want to go to Premier League. You know. Yeah. Well, I think even if he's there, we still won't get caught by Man City. I don't even know if Man City will catch Arsenal. I don't know. But in this matchup, with or without him, do you think they're winning? If it was against any other team, I would have more insight, but it's against Borussia Dortmund, who have been just either incredible or terrible every week, every minute. Fair actually. Enough. So yeah, who knows? I don't know. I will say, I think I'm going to go for Borussia Dortmund because they were one of the yellow teams when we were playing FIFA a long time ago. This isn't that joke. This is that joke. Sorry, I shouldn't be bringing this on podcast because nobody's going to relate to this.
Let's stick to colors.
Yeah, let's stick to colors. I'm going for the yellow team.
Also, Gio Reyna is there, and I heard that he doesn't want to be there, and maybe he comes, to the MLS, to Austin FC. We'll see. I don't know. We got a DP spot open, right? Oh, we didn't talk about it. We'll talk about it next time. Yeah. Okay. Well, the next match that we're going to talk about in the Bundesliga is Stuttgart versus Freiburg. I think I say Stuttgart, right? Stuttgart? Like a good accent. I know you had the Hispanic take on it. I'm trying not to do that.
Yeah.
Stuttgart. Maybe that's how you say it. We don't know German. But Stuttgart have won 4 of their last 5 in the Bundesliga and are starting to play like a team we saw last season. Oh, sorry. Let me get back to my notes here. Starting to play like the team we saw last season. Instead of the unorganized and disjointed team we saw towards the beginning of this season. They do come up against Freiburg, who are a team that are in transition, but were one of my highlights and surprises for the first half of the Bundesliga season. And coming into this match, they have lost 2 of their last 3, but they had been banging out the results before this. and I don't think they forgot how to do that. If Stuttgart are truly back, this is a match they should be getting all 3 points from. And they lost this reverse fixture at match day 1, which can you really tell 17 matches after that what they're going to look like? Probably not. But you would think that for Freiburg, it kind of gives them some kind of confidence boost. And you would think that Stuttgart's wanting to get this one back. Freiburg have had a great season compared to where we thought they might be coming into the season, but they have struggled against the better teams in the Bundesliga. They just have been getting really good results against some of the bad teams, and they have been hard to beat for the bigger teams. They just haven't got that result over the line. Now, the real question here is Stuttgart one of the bigger teams? They are tickling the top 4, as hype man Vic says over there. And with the win, Vic, I think that gets them pretty much in, right?
Yeah, they'll be in. They'll have 32 points if they do get a win. They do need some help from Leipzig to either get a draw or a loss because Leipzig does have 30 points. But, Leipzig has lost 2 of the last 3. Stuttgart has won 2 of the last 3. It's kind of going in that trend. Who knows what's going to happen?
Okay. Well, I'm going for Stuttgart, obviously, my boys. But, yeah, I think we saw them. We keep talking about it. We saw them, yes.
Yeah.
So we're fans since we saw them. That's how it is.
That's where Endo's from.
Yes, sir. Oh, yeah, I forgot. Yeah.
My boy Endo. Yeah.
Yeah. That's like the most like gutta gangsta name that's not like my boy Endo.
Yeah, every time we're over there, I'm watching, I'm like, GameCube, Nintendo.
I was just about to say that. That's hilarious. Okay. We lost like 10 followers right there.
Yeah, sorry.
If we even had them. Okay. Let's move on. That is what we're watching in the Bundesliga this weekend. And now we have much shorter segments because there's not a midweek matchup in La Liga or Serie A. And I think I'm going to take the reins here, Vic. And I say let's go to Italy. Let's go to Italy.
To Serie A.
That was close. You almost
got close. I'm glad you picked. Producers are already mad at me because I didn't. I went off notes
messed them up.
So, yeah, so, good job. Thank you for picking.
Well, with that said, give us a reminder what the table looks like.
Yes, let's bring up the table on Serie A again. There we go. They're still on match day 20, and Napoli is in the lead. They have 47 points on a 5-game win streak. Inter Milan behind them with 44 points and a game in hand. They did draw last time out. We'll see how things go for them. Atalanta is behind them. They have 43 points, just 1 point behind them. But again, Inter Milan have a game in hand. And rounding out the top 4 is Lazio with 36 points. There's a pretty big gap there of 7 points between 3rd and 4th. So they have a little bit of work to do just to ensure they stay in there. Because right behind them is Juventus with 34 points. Although Juventus only won 1 of their last 6. They do have 5 draws out of that. So at least they're getting some points out of it, but they're definitely trying to get more points out of their games. And just because, it's our old stomping grounds, Fiorentina in the 6th spot, fighting to get in the Europa Leagues and stay in there. So if we look at the bottom of what was that?
I said hopefully.
Yeah, I need to start wearing their kit more. But looking at the bottom of the table, you can see Cagliari. They have 18 points, just had a draw and a win, 4 points in the last 2 matches. So keeping them in front of Venezia, who does have 14 points and still keeps their star and their badge on the table. If they do get in last place, might have to take that off. Said it last time too. Monza are fighting to stay or to get out of the bottom spot. They just got a win, but they still have 13 points, 1 behind Venezia, who has 14 points. And we will see how things go for them. It's getting pretty interesting on the bottom. And I think from like 13th to 18th, it's only 2 points. So anybody down there is pretty close to being relegated. And it's starting to get fun on the opposite side of winning the league. Getting out of the league.
You know what I always say? It's always fun and interesting on the bottom. One thing I will say about the top, though, is that I was listening to a podcast. You like that? I was listening to a podcast about some of the bigger transfers that are coming out. And Napoli, they already lost Osimhen. He went to Turkey this summer. But Kvaratskhelia has pretty much told Conte that he's not playing anymore, that he wants out and he's going to be gone. Not that he's been a huge part of the success that Napoli has had this season, but maybe it could be a distraction. Although they do have our boy Danny P's favorite striker in the entire universe, Romelu Lukaku there. So, boy, banging in goals left and right. But I don't know. Just I'm thinking maybe it could be a distraction. Maybe they start to drop points. We'll see. I don't know. But it's just something I read or heard, and I thought it was interesting because you don't really hear much about, like, he's such a quiet, kind of to himself guy. You don't think that he would be that much trouble, but he is. But
sounds familiar. A little close to home.
A little close to home.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's jump into it. Let's go through some of the matches, and then some of the matches that we're watching. So on Friday, pardon me. On Friday, we get a mid-table clash between Roma and Genoa, where both teams come in with 2 wins, 2 draws, and 1 loss in the last 5 matches. Though it feels like Claudio Ranieri's men have the momentum on their side, I think Roma are turning a corner. Genoa, they're kind of floating there. Saturday, bottom of the table, Monza have a tough task at hand if they're to keep the good vibes going after winning their last time out, as they go on the road to Bologna. And it's a big in Turin as Juve welcome Milan to town. And if I had to put money on any type of score in this one, I would just bet that it's going to be a draw. It's Juventus love to get a draw. Then we get another big. Italy is serving them up this weekend as Atalanta get Napoli, this time in Bergamo. If you recall, they played the reverse leg of this in Naples back on November 3rd, and Atalanta came away with a 3-0 win. Will things be different this time around? Sunday, Fiorentina are limping into their matchup with Torino. It feels like a get-right spot for the Viola, but they have lost 4 of the last 5, while Torino are on 3 straight draws. So we have no idea what's going to happen. Do you remember, Vic, like just a month ago, Fiorentina had like 7 or 8, I think it might have been 9 straight wins.
Yeah.
And now they've lost 4
great.
of 5. That's insane, man.
You must have given them their flowers.
No, I would never do that to my team.
Right.
That's hilarious. Okay, Parma looked to rebound after losing last time out. They get Venezia at home, who are our pet project pretty much, and currently sitting in 19th and looking to gain ground on Cagliari right above them. And speaking of Cagliari, they have a 6-pointer of their own as they face the Milkmen. Lecce are coming off a win last weekend against Empoli and will want to keep stacking up wins as they push to separate themselves from the bottom of the table. It's so weird because I call it a 6-pointer and then you look at the table and it's like, dude, Lecce are like 13. Not even, but it's just so tight on that bottom of the table. It's crazy. Verona, despite only losing 2 times in their last 5 Serie A matches, find themselves in 17th in the table and just above the relegation zone, as Vic was just showing us. But they get a date with Lazio at home, and Lazio are in a bad run of form, but you would expect that they can get all 3 points here. But I expect that if you're Verona, you probably are pretty happy with getting Lazio at this moment in time. Inter were stifled by Bologna last time out, but they have a get-right spot against Empoli, who've lost 4 of their last 5 matches. And on Monday, we have another island game for Como. It feels like Serie A is pushing Como real hard, man. Like they're always on the Friday or a Monday or like the spotlight game. But they get Udinese at home, and Udinese have drawn 3 straight matches in Serie A and are teetering between mid-table and closing the gap to the European places. We still don't know what they are yet. And Como, yeah, I mean, it's going to be a good one just because that's who Serie A is pushing right now. We shall see who wins it. I need to stop saying that. I'm sorry. Okay, now let's talk about some of the matches that we are watching, Vic. Let's start with Juventus. And
I always put the S on there, but
I do too. I mean, are you not supposed to? Who told you? Oh wait, you have a buddy. Yeah, that's right. That's right.
I'll ask him tomorrow. No, I won't. No, I'm off tomorrow.
Wait, you just made that rule up? Like you just said it?
Yeah, we'll see.
Oh my God, this guy. Juve and Milan are playing the match, and Milan have found some success with the new manager Sergio Conceição, as we talked about in our last show. But he can change a tone around really quickly. But can he change the tone around them in Serie A, because they have been hit or miss? And it looks like they finally are getting the bulk of their squad back from injury, and now they are unbeaten in their last 5 matches in Serie A, and it's time to start getting some dubs. But Juve, on the other hand, are masters of not losing. And by saying not losing, notice how I'm saying not losing, because they are just not winning that many games either. but they have drawn 13 of their 20 Serie A matches so far. Those other 7 were wins, as they are unbeaten in the league, but that's just insane. Is this good enough for Mota to keep his role as manager? I don't know, but I would think not. I would think that if you were Juve, you would have a little bit more expectation for points, but they're still sitting in 5th, so it's hard to say. We'll see how it ends at the end of the season. But this one is more likely going to end in a draw. I would have to say that. But Pulisic is back, Vic, so I know you'll be watching.
Yeah. He did go off. He was limping last time, right? He went off because of his hamstring or ankle. I forgot which one. But yeah,
like recently?
Back, yeah. He just went off like last week. Not even last week. He had to be pulled in the 45th minute. But I don't think it was that bad. I think it was just I forgot what else happened during that. I watched the replay like 6 times, so I just forgot what else happened, and he went out. But yeah, it would be good to see him again. I'll check and make sure. But if he is playing, you got to go American all the way. Let's go Milan.
Yeah, I'm going Milan too. So Milan, I want to see them.
Juve also has Americans. Sorry, but
I know.
Captain America. Yeah.
They played this match didn't get played. I mean, the reverse fixture was like not even a month ago, maybe a month ago. I can't remember. But Weston McKennie and
Tim Weah.
Yeah. I mean, this is American on American action right here. But the thing that pisses me off about Juve is that they just refuse to lose. Like you're not winning them all. You're hardly winning, but you're still up there in 5th in the table. I don't know. I want Milan to get it. I think that they've been poised for this one. So yeah, feel like we're both going Milan though.
Yes, Milan.
Okay. Let's move on to the next match we are watching in Serie A.
Battle
Atalanta.
Of the Blues.
Yes, Atalanta versus Napoli. And as I mentioned, Napoli lost to Atalanta 3-0 at home when they played the reverse fixture of this match. But things were much different at the time. Atalanta were amidst their 11-match winning streak in Serie A, and up to that point, Napoli had been top of the table, but hadn't really been tested once, or had only been really tested once in the league, and that was against Milan, who they beat 2-0. They had drawn 0-0 with Juve and beat Bologna 3-0, but those were early results with those teams who we really didn't know their squads yet. But coming into this match, Atalanta have dropped points in 3 straight Serie A matches, while Napoli have 5 straight wins. Napoli still seem to be struggling against the top-tier teams in Italy, but they might be getting Atalanta at the right time. So this one, it's kind of, fact here, fact there. We don't know what's going to happen. That's why we watch the games. This one's going to be interesting for that very fact. I think I'm leaning Napoli just because I don't know, their energy's been off, man. Their energy has been off since their 11-game winning streak.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go the same way because Atalanta have been, 3 straight draws. Napoli are on 5-game win streak. I think they just have the momentum right now, and I think they can do it. It would be big, though, for Atalanta. They'd be within 1 point of the first spot with Napoli. So, I think I just still got to go with Napoli, though.
Yeah, the fact that they're 2 of the top 3 or whatever it is at the top of the table, it's going to be a good match. Either way, I'm watching. I feel like Atalanta has the momentum, or they don't have the momentum, but they have the team that's kind of taking that next step. But Napoli, they feel like
they're on the step already.
Yes, exactly. I feel like they're battle tested, and everything's new. It doesn't even make sense in reality because Conte is new. They don't have their main targets anymore, but they're still getting results. So yeah, this one's going to be fun. This one is going to be fun. Okay. There's only one more place left to go, Vic. And that is to
Spain. To La Liga.
Yes.
Might have to run through this one because I used the cask strength bourbon on this one. This cask strength rye. I'm feeling pretty good.
Getting drunk? Okay. Well, you get your part done. We got to do the table before we can jump in. So give a refresher.
I'm first. All right. Yeah. So if we look at the table, Atletico Madrid, the Madrids are on top. Atletico Madrid have 44 points on at least a 6-game winning streak. That's what it says on the table anyway. Right behind them is Real Madrid, just 1 point behind. They have 43 points. And Barcelona, weird to see them in the third spot. Kind of weird to see them in the third spot. Even weirder that there is a 6-point gap between them and number one. They have 38 points in the third spot. And underneath them is Atletico Bilbao, or Athletic Club, or Bilbao, whatever you want to call it. I always call
Whatever.
it Bilbao. Yeah, they have 36 points. Rounding out the top four, there's not a big gap. There's 6 points between them and Villarreal, who are tickling the top four in the fifth spot with 30 points. And if we go to the bottom of the table, Espanyol are down there. Espanyol have 16 points, and beneath them is my Valladolid. There's a cup. My Valladolid.
Hey,
Real
nice.
Valladolid. I do know how to say it correctly. Real Valladolid. They have 15 points. The only one in the bottom three that did get a win this past week. And in bottom is Valencia. They have 13 points and not looking too good for them. But they are all caught up. Everybody's played 19 games. And it's going to be a pretty good end of the season that we see going over here. Our second half of the season that we see.
Well, the match that we get first up on Friday, 1/17, is a match with massive implications on the relegation battlefront, I guess I should say. Actually, it's Friday. It's the 17th, not the 18th.
Mm-hmm.
No, I know it's wrong. Anyway, we get 18th Espanyol taking on 19th Valladolid, Vix Valladolid. And Espanyol have drawn 3 of the last 5 matches, and Valladolid have won 2 of their last 3 matches. So it seems like a good get right spot, or a good continue to do right spot for Valladolid. But yeah, it's an island game. We should be able to watch it, so that should be fun. And got his cup. He's ready to go. But we're gonna hurry up through this, so he's not too drunk. You know what I mean?
You're good.
Saturday, we get Girona take on Sevilla at home, as both teams are looking to string together some results. Girona have had an up and down season so far, but Sevilla have struggled real bad. Both teams need this win. Atletico Madrid go on the road to Leganés as they look to continue their absolutely dominant, ridiculous run of form. Seems pretty straightforward for them, and we'll find out. Mid-table Betis get a home match against relegation-threatened Alaves. Betis have only won once in their last 5 matches, but Alaves haven't won any of their last 5, so something's got to give here. Barcelona have a draw and 2 losses in their last 2 La Liga matches, but they'll look to carry that momentum from their 5-2 win in the Super Cup over Real Madrid and their 5-1 Copa del Rey win over Betis as they take on Getafe on the road. They have 10 goals in their last 2 matches. That is ridiculous. Getafe is no slouch, though. On Sunday, we get Bilbao, who have quietly been racking up wins in La Liga. They take on mid-table Celta Vigo, who lost last time out. Bilbao are only 2 points off both Barcelona in third, and they're going to be looking to get some points here. Real Madrid and the mighty Las Palmas go head-to-head this weekend, and it would surprise you, and would it surprise you, if I said that Madrid and Las Palmas have the exact same record in the last 5 matches, because that is exactly what's happened. Both teams come into this match with 3 wins, 1 draw, and 1 loss in their last 5 matches. That's insane. 2 mid-table teams match up when Rayo Vallecano travels to Osasuna on Sunday. Osasuna have completely fallen off recently, as they are without a win in the last 5 matches and are on 2 straight losses. Real Sociedad traveled to Valencia in a match that seems pretty straightforward, but Valencia really need to start getting some points, or they're really going to have a hard time staying up. And it sucks for everything that they've been through this year. And we have the final match of the match day is on Monday. 5th and 6th place teams finish the match day with Mallorca travel to Villarreal. And we'll see if this crazy good start to the season for Mallorca can be sustained. Villarreal will test them for sure. And we'll talk about that more here in a moment. But first, we're going to be talking about Espanyol and Valladolid. Vix Valladolid. Espanyol haven't won a match in La Liga since November when they beat Celta Vigo. And since then, it's been 3 draws and 2 losses. So they're not on good form. But Vix Valladolid's got 2 wins and 3 losses in that same time span. And they're staying true to the words, live by the sword, die by the sword. No draws, baby. We either win or lose. And this 6-pointer is splitting the points, doesn't really do any good here. It's a 6. You got to get 3 points or nothing at all. I would bet money that both teams are pretty much going to go out there and give it everything to take those 3 points. They played each other in match day 1, which is mid-August. Can't really take too much from it. But Valladolid did get a 1-0 win there, and both teams have played a ton since then. So, again, it's not like you take a lot from it, but we do have a bit of some history we can see. And it will basically just give Volidoli more belief more than anything. But I don't expect a ton of goals in this one, as both teams don't really do that. But I do expect Volidoli to get a win, Vic. And I feel like we're on the same page here, right? Let's go.
Yes, for sure. Going for Valladolid. Valladolid. It sucks is that they're at a negative 24 goal differential.
Yeah.
And
negative 24.
It is terrible. It is very bad. So if they have any sort of point tie or anything like that, they're obviously at a disadvantage for gaining any kind of traction in the table. So hopefully they can just get some wins and,
you don't have to worry about that. Hey, live by the sword, die by the sword, baby. Exactly. They're like, we don't care. Goal difference, none of that matters. Just get wins.
Yeah, the next
those 1 points.
The next closest is negative 14. So
it's
by
far
big gap.
The biggest.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, maybe they'll get a 10-0 win and we'll close that gap.
We can hope.
Okay. Well, let's go to a matchup of a little bit different implications here. Villarreal versus Mallorca. A little bit of history for Mallorca. They have finished 15th, 19th, 16th, and then they were relegated back in 2019-2020 season. And right now, at the halfway point of the season, they're sitting in the European places, which is crazy to say. Obviously, we have a lot more football to play, but last season, they had 8 total wins and 40 points. Right now, at the halfway mark, they have 9 wins and 30 points. So they are just way past where they were last season. And it's really cool to see what they're doing in Mallorca at the moment. But they are taking on perennial European place finishers, Villarreal. They have dropped points recently and have only won once in the last 5 matches, but don't get it twisted. Villarreal are really good. They've always been good. They have good players, and their biggest issue recently has been injuries, like most clubs at this point of the year. But this week, they've welcomed back Ayoze Perez. Let me get my notes here. Ayoze Perez, Nicolas Pepe, and Diego Conde back to training, with Perez set to return to this match. And if you recall, which is hard to recall because he got hurt so long ago, but before he got injured in late September, Ayoze Perez was on a ridiculous goal-scoring pace. The first 7 matches of the season for him, he had 6 goals, and he'll look to continue to get back on track on this one, and hopefully they can get the win. This one's tough because I've always loved Villarreal, the way they look with the yellow submarine, those kits. It's iconic, but Mallorca is just a cool story. So I don't know who I'm going for in this one. I just want to see a good match and a winner. Let's get some points out there. What do you think?
I think I'll probably go Mallorca on this one. Just I kind of like their. I mean, they both have a pretty similar color scheme, but I think I like Mallorca in this one. And if the goal is always the championship, winning the league, obviously, then the Champions League, and these two, no matter who wins, none of them are going to be in the Champions League just because there's a 6 point difference between both of them. But it will be a huge stepping stone to at least try to get into those spots. So one's going to be left without points, and hopefully the other one get 3 points. Splitting the points doesn't do much for either one of them right now.
Yeah, it sucks. It's like whenever you go into these big matchups, or at least, the matchups we're going to watch and we're looking forward to, when they draw, it's kind of like, oh, damn it. Like, come on, let's get a winner in there. But c'est la vie. C'est la vie. Okay, that is it. I think we got to get out of here before Vic gets too drunk. So, Vic, take us home.
Too late. Thanks for joining me today. Make this drink. It's freaking awesome. And it's like a one-hitter quitter. That's about it. Anyway, follow us on our socials. Everything's at No Business Soccer Podcast, except for X, except for TikTok. For the time being, it's at No Biz Sock Pod. Thank you for spending some time with us, and let us know in the comments. Did we miss anything? What are you looking forward to this weekend? And what do you want to talk about next when we talk about Austin FC, at least for the next one? Because there's a lot of stuff to talk about. Appreciate everything. Y'all have a good one.
Peace.
Peace.